So yeah, this is the Funkast. Justin, thank you for coming. Andrea, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
No, I was thrilled when I met you because you stayed at the tent for a while and you just shot the shit. You weren't there to really. You were there for the bud. You were there for the good time, but you stayed and talked. It wasn't like, hey, explain to me what you have here. You just wanted to shoot shit. And that's what I'm looking for when I try to talk to people. I don't want someone that just wants to say, oh, what do you have, and walk away. You handed me the pamphlet, and you really seemed like you had a lot more going on than just coming to buy bud. And that's what I like. I like to talk to people who have their head on their shoulders straight, that have a plan, and that can help me talk and get the stigma released in some of the areas that people don't normally hear people talk about it. You know, a podcast is one thing, but I'm pushing it out there so much that I don't really care who hears me talk about it, and I hope that it makes somebody else feel more comfortable talking about something they may have wanted to do or they may be doing now. I've only talked to one just regular home grower. Everybody else has sort of been either trying to get their license, already have some sort of business in the space, like a hydro store, or the root nerds guys that I talk to that have the Aurora Plush Germinator. So last night, actually, I had that podcast with the home grower, and it was sort of eye-opening to see from somebody else's perspective that wasn't in it for business right away. They were just in it to grow. And I could see how what I was already putting out in just the 2 episodes that I've done or posted, that he was more comfortable talking to me about it because of what he had seen on the podcast so far. I like that I'm talking to you because I haven't talked to anybody yet that actually has their workings going for a micro business. That's like I said, I wanted to pick your brain on it because I don't know, aside from what the OCMs put out on like their fact sheet, I don't know, like I didn't know, I assumed, but I didn't know fingerprints were a thing. Like when were they going to do it? Then I asked you about like the scoping out of your place or the regulations for that. So really, I'd like to dive in and talk about who you are first. You are an ex-veteran or a former military. What did you do? Army, Navy.
Army.
So were you ever deployed?
No, fortunately or unfortunately, how you see it, I didn't get no deployments.
Okay. Oh.
I was airborne, joined in 2013. Did 8 years. 5 of them was in infantry, where I was stationed in Italy. Mm-hmm. And I did 5 years there, where I had a knee injury, so they moved me to a less strenuous MOS, and then that's when I got stationed over here in Fort Drum.
Okay, cool.
And then I just bought a house and stayed over here until I had another knee injury and surgery, and then they medically retired me, and that was like 2022, 2021,
okay.
And yeah.
Was it the other knee?
Yeah, the other knee.
So both knees now.
Well, yeah, because I compensated and put more weight on the other one.
Not trying to compare you to a dog, but I just had my dog's second ACL done because of overcompensation for the one. Yeah, so I guess it's true for everybody. Once the one goes, the other one's going to go shortly after. Are they metal?
No, I just had a debridement, so it was something simple. But they tried to tell me I need to put off as long as I can the knee replacement. And they were saying, oh, if you want to get that in a couple of years, you can, but we recommend to wait that as long as you possibly can because they're only good for like 20, 25 years.
Oh, yeah, so
but the further we get on in the future, we'll have technology that knee replacements will be able to last a lot longer.
Right. That's cool. So I mean, you haven't really been in danger, so that's great.
Nope.
I was going to ask, was the drive to smoke or to have your business like this, was it something that the military brought on? Like, was it like a pain thing, or is it just something that you've always enjoyed marijuana?
Well, yeah, I started smoking at a young age at like 13.
Okay.
And I felt like, I just realized this a little bit more, but I feel like certain people, like maybe it's that they're into a cannabinoid system, it doesn't match up with cannabis very well, and they just get extremely high. Like, it's like, I don't even think it's like a tolerance thing, because some people, they'll just get obliterated. Like,
right.
I have, when I go to school, I've noticed people who come there to, they're big, avid cannabis fans, and then they come there, and then, maybe they're smoking with other people who have a a higher frequency of smoking like me, like I'll smoke between classes and stuff, and it's always been nothing for me. It's just a way to take the edge off, anxiety, not feeling pain, like put you in a little better mood, headspace wise. And some people, they just can't handle that. They say, oh, if I even take a couple hits, I'm too paranoid, I'm anxious, then I turn stupid and I can't talk right or articulate what I want, and I just get sloppy. And I'm like, that happens to people? I was always so, surprised because I felt like it just alleviated all my ADHD symptoms. And that's what I tell doctors all the time. I could smoke for pain. I have enough pain that I probably could smoke for pain. Some of it does help some days, but for the most part, I feel like I'm smoking for my ADHD. It helps with, like, I've tried all different types of medicines for ADHD, like methylphenidate, Adderall, Vyvanse, Strattera, everything. And they never really worked for me. I would not have any, benefit concentration-wise. So it's like, it just seemed like, even in the military, when I started getting towards the last couple of years of my contract, I started getting really itchy because I had pain. I was trying to go to school while I was in the military for cybersecurity and stuff. And while I was doing that, I was just having a hard time focusing and being able to concentrate. And so I got, prescribed while I was in the military, ADHD. I always knew I had it, but you can't get in the military with it. So once you're in it, so you can be in it for 2 hours. As soon as you do that and you say, oh, I got ADHD, and they're like, okay, here's Adderall. But if you come in already previously prescribed it, they won't let you in. It'll be a disqualifying factor.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so sorry, not trying to blow in this mic. But yeah, so ADHD was like the big thing I used it for. It helped me. So when I seen towards the end of my contract, I was like, man, I know, weed stays in your system so long, you can't smoke it while you're in, it'll mess up, all your chances of getting all the benefits and stuff. So I was like, riskily smoking CBD, maybe, you might get pop hot, if you smoke a little strong CBD, and it's not recommended in the military. They don't let you do that. You can't just be like, I smoke CBD. It's not the real stuff. Right. They won't care, so it's really hush hush. Even now you can't bring it on base. So, I mainly smoked for then, and then once I finally got out, I was like, nice, I can smoke again. And then I was going to school for cybersecurity, and it just seemed like every one of my assignments that was like they gave you a scope of something you can come up with, I ended up making it about cannabis, where it'd be like a pitch project, and I would pitch an app that I just made up out of nowhere that would be about cannabis. Or I designed I didn't even know it at the time, but they already have metric and stuff like that. But I was like, yeah, there'd be a way to use RFID tags and, Bluetooth technology and RFID to like make these, this inventory tracking system where people will be able to like just go and, scan with their phone, cannabis at the shop, and then like, it would automatically take it out of like inventory, and you could there was like so many, like you still have to get ID checked and all other things, but it was just a random thing I came up with, and I was like, they already went out, I'm sorry. But yeah, I was like, they already have that, so it was an eye-opening once I realized that I kept doing that over and over and over. Every time I was given a technology problem or a cybersecurity computer thing, I made it about cannabis. And at this time I was starting to do home grow, at home, just so I have, access to cheaper, more, better weed. And while I was doing that, I had the idea, I think I saw a Gangier commercial or ad or whatever from Green Flower from Syracuse. And I was like, what? They actually have here in New York, cannabis classes you can take. So I tried to I started taking a couple of their classes, or I paid for the course. And then I was like, this isn't enough. This doesn't go deep enough for my satisfaction. Yeah. Like, it was just very surface level, bud tending stuff, like maybe the history of cannabis, how like it was the oldest medicine, and like the like things that were made out of hemp, like the first car, or like the first, like one of Henry Ford's first cars made out of hemp, and just a bunch of like. No, you didn't know that?
No, I didn't know
yeah, he
that.
made like one of the first Model Ts or whatever, and full of hemp, full hemp. Everything was made out of hemp. I mean, maybe some metal parts, but mostly
Crazy.
hemp. Like the sides of it.
Nice.
Yeah. And yeah, just like how cannabis went back to like one of the oldest medicine books from like I think it's China. Like they called it Ma, or whatever, and like old hash, and just like there was like I was like there's got to be more. There's got to be like a closer, like a science. Like there's got to be like a deeper. I wanted it to go as deep as anything else that you could go to school for. So I was like, where could I get the deepest, most hands-on education for cannabis? And I did some research. I found Morrisville University, and they were the first entity in New York State to get a license for growing. I think it was hemp at the time. And they got it under Gilbert Jenkins, who's the member of the Cannabis Control Board. She's the soil science teacher there. Teaches some other classes as well as the hemp course and everything else. But under her, she was the one that got the first license in the state. And so I was like, well, that would be and they have a cannabis program on top of it's a minor on top of their horticultural business major.
Would be the place to go.
So I was like, okay. And I was like, my second choice was what everyone hears is Cornell. But like, even Cornell will tell you, they're like, what do you want to do? Do you want to do laboratory science and being on the front edge of things, or do you want to do farming and make a business out of it? If you want to do that, go to Morrisville. If you want to do research, go to Cornell. And which is funny because even at my school in Morrisville, our main textbook, our Grow Bible, is the book that Cornell just put out in like I think it was like 2021, 2022, something like that. And for our first courses when I first started was, hey, this is our new textbook. Cornell just posted it. It's great. Everything in it's great. We're going to audit it for mistakes.
Jesus. You find a lot?
Not as many as you would think, but a lot of just weird like diagrams, botany wise. A lot of plant parts are just labeled wrong. Like the difference between a perianth and stamens and stigmas, pistils, ovules.
I know some of those.
Yeah, some of them, right?
Yeah.
They don't, like, even when you go to, and this is not to shame anyone, it's just the knowledge isn't spread around enough, but whenever you go to the courses provided by New York State and, like, people trying to help people out, the home grow and just general knowledge stuff, I go to these things and I have to be that butthole that is like... that's not an ovule, that's an ovary, or whatever, that, it's, I have to make that correction and say, oh, this is that, and I'm not trying to be that guy, but, we have to have education on top of everything. There is a right answer to certain things are called certain things, and
I can see that's right. This is your driver. You're passionate about it.
Oh, yeah. And I had a great teacher, Kelly Hennigan. She's great. She's just an old time farmer. Like, she's been studying plants and horticulture and botany and everything forever. And she looks at it as any other plant. And like, it's great because she let me check out one of the first books from her personal little library. It was, I think it's like A Thousand Ways to Get High or something like that, and it's all just botanical knowledge of like things you'd find in your house or growing in your garden, or like the coleus plant has like a little bit of DMT in it, and just weird things like that. And I'm like, this is so progressive, and she just like considers it just knowledge, and she's like, I went through that phase. It's interesting to you? Search it up.
Get that on Amazon probably.
Yeah.
Look that up.
Yeah, it's a very good book. I don't know if I returned it to her, to be honest. I think I did. Or I think what happens, I lost it, had to buy another copy on Amazon, and then I later found it, so I still have a copy. But yeah, so she was a big driver on teaching some of the first Army word nomenclature or whatever for it. And it's like, You can't call cannabis strains. It doesn't make sense.
Okay.
And that's a big one that we have to step away from, but because everyone wants to do it. It makes
Right.
it special, I guess, whatever. But think about it. What other thing do we call strains?
Genetics. I mean,
No, I mean, like, don't think of cannabis. What other, in the world, what other things do you call strains?
lineage.
Diseases.
Oh, okay.
Diseases, like illnesses and stuff,
Okay.
like things like that, like
Mutations,
pathogens.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are all strains. But plants, there are no strains of apples. There are no strains of
It's
bananas.
an apple.
Yeah, there are varieties and cultivars. You may have heard, people use those words for cannabis. But varieties and cultivars, and that's just one of those things that she would just, as soon as we'd have free discussions, someone say strain, she'd go, correct yourself,
Quick, yeah.
and it's like annoying because it's like, I still want to say it too, because just, you've been saying it since you were like 14,
Yeah, for real.
but a little tidbit.
No,
Yes.
yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, I've heard both of those words used when referring to cannabis, but I never really thought of like the exclusivity of what those two are compared to what we've been calling it. And you're right.
Here's another one for you if I have time for it real quick. Sativa and indica. Those aren't real things.
I think it's all just it's one. It's one.
There
plant.
is.
Yeah.
There's only one plant, and it's Cannabis sativa L. And so there is no indica. There's just the different varieties that grow, maybe short and bushy versus tall and lanky,
Right.
and may have in the couch feeling versus a uplifting and heady feeling.
Right.
And so that's the difference. Sometimes you get a bitter apple, sometimes you get a sweet apple. Sometimes an apple grows not that tall, and sometimes the apple tree grows really tall. I don't know. I'm not an apple expert, but
You need your micro business. You need the license, man. Like you're passionate about it. Like I could sit here and listen to you just talk about your schooling. That, man, with the micro business, it's have you like given it any thought on which side? Because I know again what the OCM's put out, just that little fact sheet. So you can do like, what is it, 1,500 pounds you can grow and process, but then you can also buy like 700 pounds extra.
I think it's 500 pounds or the equivalent concentrate of.
Okay.
So it's not
you
like
going to focus more on like the processing of it after you have it, or do you think you're just you want to sell flour for a main?
I've thought about how would I go about getting the start, and I would probably buy that off that first a couple months as soon as you're open, just to get your foot in the door, get that 500 pounds of good quality stuff. I have a bunch of veteran businesses like Sarah Stenov, or even Jeanette Miller. She just got her micro business. She's been a hemp farmer from way back in the day, helped start the Cannabis Farmers Association.
Very cool.
Or Alliance, whatever it is. Like I have a ton of people in the space that I would love to support and get their great quality flower to start me in the process. But I've been taking our medical grow, and we had our medical card for a little bit now, and so we've been just fine tuning processes as legally as you can, staying within your limits, and seeing what cultivars and varieties we like. And part of that's been researching different ones that, like, she has a lot of pain, I have pain, and how does it affect us is differently. Like, one thing is we've learned, like, I didn't learn about it until maybe 2 or 3 years ago, but edibles don't affect me. Edibles don't affect her.
You're not. I've talked to 3 people in this.
It's way more common than you think. Sorry.
Nobody does, and like, I don't feel like anybody does anymore.
No,
would you rather smoke?
No, it's different. Like, it's not
I'd
even
rather smoke.
Right.
So I'm smoking anyway.
But there's just some people, like, I've realized that edibles will always fuck him. Like, my brother, maybe it's because he's not a smoker, but, like, he will smoke, and, like, he won't. He'll just. He's one of those people that has not a very high tolerance, but maybe it's because he doesn't have a crazy bad tolerance. He just doesn't really smoke, so he doesn't have a tolerance. But he's who I get to try my edibles because they don't do anything to me. Like, thousands of like, it will never affect me. I won't even get nothing from it. Versus, like, if you read, like, collectively what people experience when they have an edible, they say it is 10 times or 100 times more powerful than smoking. They say that they see that they have a full hallucinogenic almost experience. You know, I'm like, what? You get that from cannabis? It's just
Right.
like, I go and drive and do some other things that get on the news and, you know, just act in my daily thing. And
Yeah,
like,
it's everyday thing.
and so it's just, you know, your limit. I mean, obviously I can smoke enough to like where I'm going to pass out and go to sleep afterwards, but that's because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm going to go to sleep afterwards. But I've just noticed that like, that's how we have to, you know, get some feedback is that, you know, that's part of we make edibles and I can't test them. I can't see if they're, you know, if my extraction method that I want to try worked better or worse than my last extraction method. And it's like $450 to send that off to a test and then wait a couple weeks and then decide I just want to change my recipe or,
Right.
you know, yeah. So like I would love to. I mean, I make a sweet southern tea.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
I keep it low dosage, 10 milligrams, and then, you know, it's an alcohol based tincture that I use to dose it, and it's basically tasteless. You can't taste any of the cannabis in it, and I can just drink them, and they're so good. But like my brother, who doesn't take edibles very much because he is super affected, like a 10 milligram gummy or 20 milligram gummy or whatever, he'll be laying on the floor singing his ABCs. Like he's just that low tolerance, and so it's like he wants to keep drinking it and drinking it, and it's like dangerous, you know. So, but it's hard because it's, you know, you want to make all these different variety of products, but it's hard because I don't want to spread myself too thin.
Right.
But I just have a lot of passion, and you know.
No, yeah, I'd often thought about what I would focus my time on because I'm not really big in like dabs or anything, you know. So, but I know that the rest of the world is, you know, and I sort of like the same way. They fucked me up. Don't get me wrong, but it's about the same frequency that I enjoy doing an edible, you know, because it's just I enjoy the act of, like, you know, burning that flower,
Mm-hmm. The ritualness
the
of it.
look of it, with watching it like light, you know, you get real into it when you light it, and you don't even got to put a lot of fire on it, and you just see it go,
Yeah.
and it just go. Oh,
It's calming.
man.
That ritualness is calming. The act of rolling or packing a bowl or doing how it's you, because you already expect the feeling to come before doing the action, and just the action of doing the action is like, it's like Pavlov's dog. You hit a
Yep.
bell, you start to salivate.
You just
You're like, oh, I can't wait
Homer
for this.
Simpson for that donut,
You know.
man. Yeah, so it's something that I feel like I would struggle with, like trying to be like, oh, I'm gonna actually I'm gonna take half of this and I'm gonna process it or whatnot. So it'd be hard for me to part with all of the flour. And
I have to go back to it, just because I primarily like to take dabs, and so I can just keep taking dabs over and over and over and over, and that's why I got the Seahorse. Shout out to like Luca Seahorse. I don't know if you know what these are. They're like they're like a Puffco thing, but like way better. Like Puffco's way too overrated in my opinion, but like I can pack that with a little dab, like maybe less than half a gram, and that will last between all of us if you wanted to smoke it for like 3 or 4 times going around, maybe more, and sometimes it'll last all day. Just, you know, just put it 1 or 2 dabs in there,
right.
and it's like they're like $80. Yeah, sorry to
No,
go off, but
no, you're fine. I mean, I'll keep rambling.
as I said, she's here to keep me on track.
What, did you just kick him?
No, I can feel her looking at me.
So on-site consumption too, you know, that's.
Yeah, that's why
I haven't seen anybody like advertise or put out there except for like random stupid clubs, pay $10 and you're in type club for the day to be private, like on-site consumption. So are there any other in New York State that you're like modeling after, that you've been, that you know?
we love the Roaring 420s.
Okay.
So they're out of Buffalo, but we love them. Shout out to John. He's cool. They have one of the best dab bars I've seen, and they have very high quality bud tenders that are licensed. Like,
Okay.
there are other dispensaries that I've went to that don't even have a bud tender that knows what a terpene is. I asked them, can you tell me some of your flower that may not have caryophyllene in it or pinene, because she's allergic to those terpenes. Okay. That's not widely known, but you should at least know what a terpene is. Right. So, like, they were like, oh, no, all our cannabis is natural. It doesn't have no chemicals. Just saying, I'm not, like, mad at them. The management hired people, and he was the manager.
Okay.
And so the management, whoever owns that place, I don't really know, so I'm not, like, trying to throw them under the bus, but, like, they hired people who didn't really know what they're doing, and so that's going to reflect in their quality and their customer base, and that's fine. That just makes it easier competition for me, and I'm not, like, mad at it. I hope they get better so I have something to compete against. Right. But like the Roaring 420s, they're so great. They have bud tenders that know everything about their stuff. They get perfect temp dabs. They have guys that aspire to be like the best joint rollers, and they roll smooth, like hand rolled joints. Like, they come with Instagram followings because they do always lives and show off their, like, nice rolling skills. They have a bunch of plethora of nice pieces. It's a nice space full of, like, inside, like, exhaust fans, and they just switched locations from their last one, and it's a little bit more cozy, but it's probably what more people are going to be liking, because it gives the feel of a bar. Okay. And the last one, it had a feeling of a clubhouse. It had, like, VR, you can hang out, and snacks and stuff, and they're really great. All their stuff is tested. All their stuff is homegrown New York stuff. So
they're always really nice too.
You should make that bigger so you can see it.
Oh wow, yeah.
Still can't really see it.
So yeah, they're all their stuff is they get people who want maybe a home grower, maybe someone like me, who says, oh, I have this this cannabis I grew, or this product I made, this edible I made, and I want to test it, or I want to get it into a place where people can try it, and they have a donation system where you donate, like, I think it's an ounce or 2 ounces, depending on the thing, and they will take it, pay the $600 and something $750 to get it fully tested, down to the terpenes, the stuff you don't even need to get tested by the OCM. They get a full shebang test through, I think they're testing people, or like BioTrack or something like that, or BioTracker or something like that. It's another lab testing place in New York, but they have a really sweet deal with the guy, and they do a lot of testing, and so they can afford to. It's actually killing them to do this model, but like it's made them so much fans. But getting people in, and they test the product that you have. They give you back the test for free. They don't charge you nothing. They keep your product, and this product that didn't get sent off to the test gets put on their menu once it comes back with a clean test, and they will give it out to their customers, and then they make their customers fill out surveys based on like how it made them feel, how was it tasting, all that stuff, and then they give all that data back to you and say this is what people thought about it. So it's really good. I'm sorry for doing this.
No, you're good. So is that what you aspire for it to like turn into?
Yeah, I mean maybe not the testing thing. That's
right.
just something they've had to turn into because they are not currently licensed. They are on the list. They're going for their micro as well.
Right.
And
I thought they got their license now. I forgot their license.
Did they? Maybe they did.
I thought John mentioned it the last time we went there.
Okay. Yeah. So they may have updated. Maybe they have their license now. But yeah, they had a membership model starting out, and they were right on Main Street, and they made sure that they did everything by the book. No, you could stay there all day and just smoke for free. And you didn't even know that there was cannabis products the way they had it set up. They just said, this is a place to hang out. Everything's free once you pay to get in. So they made sure that their lawyers could make sure that everything they were doing was legally to the MRTA and all that. And so
I just honestly I didn't even know that there was on-site consumption anywhere yet. Honestly, I don't think there is. Ignorance.
I don't think that is
stupid ignorance.
Legally, I don't think they are legal. I don't think there is any legal places that they've done on-site consumption yet. But there are people who have already built that model out, and they're applying for their micro business, which has that capability in it. But I don't know if they've specifically gotten permission from the OCM that they're good to go ahead and start that, because I don't think they've given out the
Around
the
it
laws,
just came out.
you know, for all of it, because they're gonna have to decide how servings are given, how to like what rules it like the on-site consumption might need to keep CBD in certain amounts of quantities, and then they may have to administer them at, you know, based on something, and they may have to have some of their bud tenders qualified in certain medical things just to make sure
Right.
people are doing okay. Like, I don't know what they're going to come up with. I don't think they have anything yet, but people have maybe ideas, but just building out whatever, like they're going to want to have everything 10 milligrams. I know that for sure.
Right.
So how do you do that? Like when you have like a drink, is it, you know?
Right. Yeah.
It's just gonna be hard because like I saw someone, they were coming out with like a specific like drops thing where they would add drops into
like a beverage.
like a beverage, and it would dose it. But then they said that didn't pass the New York's laws at the time because each dose has to be prepackaged. So you can't have, this is 100 doses in here, and as long as you pour out 2 drops, you'll get a dose, because that's, how do I know I didn't just do 3 drops? How do I know that my drops aren't just big? You know, how do you know I didn't, you know, squirt it? Like, so they have to make each dose prepackaged. That's why, like, our edible candies, it's 10 milligrams, hard candy, and they are, like, each one is individually wrapped, like, separate from the other one.
Okay.
Trying to make it as much as to the OCM's rules, just so I don't know. But so we don't really know like how we're gonna tackle the on-site consumption stuff, but I guess we gotta wait until whatever they come out with. But that's why we're looking at, you know, other models we like.
No, I think I like the whole testing side of it. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. I do know of a bunch of dispensaries locally around here where you can go in and just say something about a terpene period, and they won't even say anything. Oh, it's organic. And they just don't know. You know, there's only
it's
like
the basic things.
There's only like 2 dispensaries around here legally. There's like Rochester and Syracuse, but those are pretty far away in perspective to here. There's 2. There's one in Geneva, and then there's one on the outskirts of Seneca Falls. And then there's a bunch of native-owned ones. So, you know, you live in Watertown? Is that where you drove from?
We just got our new dispensary. Yeah, it's called the Cannabis Depot.
Okay.
So
Do you have any native population up there at all? I know, like when you head east, there's a ton.
What's the one reservation that we normally would drive to? It's still 2 hours or so, but which one is it? I don't know.
Probably look it up in my maps to find it from my recent history.
Well, no, I think it's what I was going with it is I do think that the native population, with their ability to do some things that not everybody can do, it really does open up the eyes of people a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And it releases stigma about this a lot quicker too, because you're a very well educated person. What is it?
Messina.
Okay. You're very well educated. You know, you can. I just said that like a fucking weirdo, but like you're very educated, and you can tell in the way that you're talking about it. So that sort of blows it away right there. That, you know, anybody can do this. You know, super educated. You don't have to go out there and you're not flaunting around that you're smoking 24/7. You're able to talk about it in a manner that, you know, enlightens me. I hope it enlightened you. You seem like you already know it too.
She hears me talking about 24/7.
Well, I'm all set for right now. What it's all about for me is to really get people talking about it outside of this room afterwards. Having the video to go along with it sort of adds a little emotion to it. Like, I hope you could tell that I'm like sitting here trying to follow a lot of the stuff you're saying, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, so
I'm sorry, you got to tell me. I'm not good at facial cues, I guess.
No, because that also allows people to see that, like, yeah, I'm kind of confused too. You know, it's like I'm not grasping it. So if anyone's watching it and they're not, like, it's going to have them look it up. That's why I have him here writing stuff down for me, so I can look stuff up and educate myself on it a little bit more. You know, I know about terpenes and things like that, but
I didn't know about any of that when I first got with him.
Yeah,
I've been
it's
together about a year and a half now, and I knew nothing. I knew maybe the measurements of when I bought it. That's it. But then I didn't even start really learning about it until right before I got with him. That's when I even figured out what terpenes were.
Mm-hmm.
Because I started getting really sick.
I'd want to give her a dab, and she would, even if it was temped okay, she would still, like, violently hurl. And it would just make her just, like, break out in a sweat, feel really bad. And I was, like, thinking to myself, my mother, when we were younger, I saw her try cannabis once or twice, and every time she tried it, she would violently throw up. And I'm like, I've heard other people come by and tell me, doctors just told I'm allergic to cannabis. And I refuse to believe that. And I'm like, there has to be something more to it. And so, after we've done more digging, we realized she's allergic to 2 things. Cinnamon and pine trees.
Yes.
Now, what do you think the primary terpene of pine trees are? Pinene.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't know how much you know. But pinene.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I'm like, oh, that's one of the most prevalent terpenes in most cannabis strains. Like anything that is diesel-y, or like sour diesel, anything like that, all that's going to be pine.
Diesel,
The first one.
Haze,
yeah.
Blues.
She remembers them more now.
Oh, yeah. Anything that usually says it's spicy.
Yeah.
And then she's allergic to cinnamon. And then I had to look this one up because it says, but the primary terpene in cinnamon is caryophyllene. Because, like, what is a terpene? A terpene is just the chemical compound that makes up the smell and kind of the taste of certain things. Like, citrus is like citrazine, lemons are limonene, terpinolene, that's the gassy smell. And then there's mixed with pinene, that's like piney smell. Like, but caryophyllene is the cinnamon. That's what things give, like the rum chata kind of like spicy cinnamon smells to it. And I mean, anything that's like that, she'll cough. And guess what? But she smokes all kinds of flower without any hesitation, and it never affects her. So that's why it causes us to think a little bit more about it. And you'll be like, well, when you do a little research, what is the percentage of terpenes by weight in cannabis versus a dab? And it goes from like, I think it's like 1 to 2, 3%, I think, and like a variation of between 1 to 3% for flower, and then it goes to like 8 or something, or higher percentage for dabs. And so it's like, oh, it's just more concentrated, these terpenes. So it's like, before, whenever you may have had a mild allergenic reaction of just a cough or an irritant in your throat, a dab, it's much more concentrated. It's going to make you like have a more, your body's going to want to expel it.
A more
drastic effect.
But flower things would just like smoke harsher. So I could tell by whatever was in it that if there was something in it.
Right.
And we wouldn't have looked it up already. And I would be like, hey,
she'd be like, this is spicy.
What's in this?
And then we'll type it in on Leafly, because that's like the best knowledge you can get, because not a lot of people have test results readily available. And then so you look it up on Leafly, and Leafly's like, primary terpenes, caryophyllene, pinene, myrcene. And I'm like, that makes sense. It has the 2 biggest ones you're allergic to. So, and it, so she would just be like, okay, skip me. And she'll just know that, like, it's not worth it for her to smoke that one. And I'm like, if this was just taught more, maybe more people would be able to try it and enjoy it without it being such a like, oh, I hate it. It makes my throat feel bad. It's so irritating. And I'm like, have you tried different ones?
Well, because education is key, and a lot of people don't even think to ask. Like, if you go to a new restaurant or something, you're going to tell them about your allergies because they need to know, because they're preparing your food.
Right.
But nobody really thinks to ask those questions when it comes to cannabis. So, I mean, I really can't blame anybody for it to even ask it, but to at least know what they are, so that way if somebody does ask, it's like when you, like I said, go to a new restaurant. If you ask, hey, is this made with tomatoes in it? They can at the very least tell you yes or no.
Right.
No,
yeah, it's a tailored experience would always be the best.
It's really important, because if I have that allergy and it's my first experience smoking, and it hits me hard, I try a dab for the first time because I'm with him. and and I don't look those things up, I'm gonna get really sick.
Right.
And that makes sense. So whenever we go to like the Roaring 420s, for example, she's able to take dabs there because they'll give her a cold start or a low temp dab, and it makes sense that if you look at the scale of what terpenes temperatures burns off at, if you're taking a lower temperature, you may not even make those terpenes oxygenize. They may just stay in salt. They may not get absorbed into smoke. They'll just stay in the dab rig. They won't leave. They won't.
Right. So, where would you suggest someone who wants to learn more about that part specifically?
Trial and error.
Trial. Okay.
Oh, get a dab right. Get any kind of like maybe electric piece that you can set variable temperatures to, and then it's just like I said, it's trial and error because like you'll find one variety and the best temperature for that one might be 600 or whatever,
Right.
and then it might be 550 for your next variety. So it's all in your preference, and no one can tell you really what's good for you. It's just they can tell you, hey, here's a chart of what temperatures terpenes burn off at, and so that you can if you want the most taste, stay in this range. If you want the most effect, stay in this range, because it's also not just the terpenes that are oxygenated, but all the different cannabinoids and the flavonoids.
Does that chart already exist?
Somewhat.
Does that chart?
Somewhat, yeah. I'm sure you can Google it.
I thought you said somewhat, like asking me, like, what did I say? That's why I said it again.
No, I'm like somewhat. I'm like, I'm sure you can look it up. I don't know how accurate they are, but I'm sure
there
are.
I also know if they're all condensed together.
And one might just have a couple different cannabinoids, but there's like 144 or whatever.
Right.
That we don't.
Every
we only keep
chart I've ever seen has been like 7.
Right. That's like the main ones because the other ones are so like less than 1%.
Yeah.
But they make up the entourage effect, I believe. That's why hash purists are so more like Frenchie or whatever. He's more of the full spectrum. He's like, give me that, 73 to 120. I want the whole thing. And, and that makes sense because like that's where you're going to get, all the different cannabinoids, flavonoids, esters, everything that makes up the makeup of the plant.
What's an ester?
I don't know. I just know it's a part of the things that make up the taste, and the taste and the effect. There's studies on what the effects are, but
I
like
knew this bitch named Esther once.
but yeah, they're like I think they're an alcohol-based thing or something that whenever you burn them off, they affect you or they have a taste.
Right.
And there's less research on them than terpenes are.
So you've pretty much put on a master class so far, like dropping stuff. So no, that was
I haven't even touched growing.
Like, so, well, yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. It's it's sort of part of like the classes and learning experience. Are you waiting till say everything went through tomorrow, you were able to open up and do something, would you start teaching classes immediately? Would you start having like groups come in to the shop, or would you wait till you're done with whatever education plans you
I want to
have?
be full transparent. I want to see the whole entire process. Like you come in and I want to figure out a way to build it, but I've asked some people, the only way to do it is a full, like, clean room where, like, maybe chest high to ceiling windows that go down that people can, watch the process. Because if you let anyone in your grow, you're going to get your chance to mess it all up. They might carry some spore or insect or something, and then you should already just create an inhospitable environment for those things to proliferate. But still you want to keep if you're doing indoor, you want to if you're doing indoor, you want to keep it as clean as you possibly can, especially with their rules against different CFUs for aspergillus and stuff like that. They want it hello, and I know so many farmers are up in arms because they do outdoor, and it's damn near impossible to get 0 CFUs or very low CFUs of aspergillus on an outdoor plant. And it's the level they want is like drastically below what I think the FDA or the USDA or something like that, one of those organizations, what they say is the passable level for, you know, human consumption. Because there's aspergillosis everywhere. There's probably stuff for here.
Oh, I don't know. I Lysoled this before you guys came
Oh,
here.
well, then it just came back
Maybe
from
that
the
was
air and then it
Walmart
landed
Lysol, so
again.
maybe it was- maybe it
It's
wasn't
everywhere. We're
good.
breathing it in right now, they say.
Yeah.
So it's part of, like, everything. But it's like you're not going to get pneumonia unless
Right.
I trap you in somewhere and then, like,
Pump it in there.
you know, and then hurt you and then make your, you know, your immune system really weak.
Okay.
So it's everywhere. You're just, you know, it's just. So they're realizing that now because we've done some lobbying against that, and you know they've slowly, you know, listened to us more.
You ever thought of doing, like I had mentioned, sort of that master class style?
Oh, sorry, yeah, I didn't answer the question.
No, I
yes,
didn't. I, don't think I
definitely
asked
would.
That, though. I don't
Oh,
think
the
I
master
asked-
class, I definitely
you
would.
Make a series somehow.
Yeah,
and
I would.
sell
I would
it?
definitely need the right person though to help guide me because like I currently have people I teach and you know like very private. Like I take them into my own grow, make sure everything's sterilized. It's only onesies or twosies, whatever. But like I'm able to explain and have them do hands-on things under my supervision and just really pass on the what I've learned from self-teaching books and my schooling at Mooresville. And like
Well, it sounds like you already have those people to help you.
Well,
those,
I mean,
those are the people I would say you should ask because they know how you're gonna do it. You can set a camera up like this, and you could do that. Completely legal. You could.
Oh yeah.
You could start that tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's I don't know. I just thought of that. Like, oh damn, you could make a fucking killing.
Maybe you'll force me to do it now.
No, I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna put and right in the post. And he said he's going to.
I'm a big fan of like the mastermind idea from like Think and Grow Rich.
Okay.
Where you develop a bunch of people that are in your close circle that are doing some of the things that you like to do, or maybe are just entrepreneurial people and want to get ahead and meet their goals in life. Well, you get these group of people and y'all pool resources together. You hang out on a once every 2 weeks or so, and y'all get together and you say, what's your problems? What are you dealing with? What's your problems? What are you dealing with? All right, let's talk about them. And as a group, we're going to fix their problems today, and then we're going to move on to him and then her, and then everybody's going to get a chance to use the brains of 10 people in this room to handle their one problem.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you walk away with not only just help, but then future knowledge on how you heard different people to have different
all
ideas.
their problems,
and
too.
all
You
their
know
problems,
how to fix
and now you
those.
know how to fix their problems. Yes, exactly. So you that's how you just use a collective like hive mind, to build a mastermind of people that and the closer they are to having the same type of goals that you are, the better these people are. And then maybe if they're even outside of your field, then they'll have something maybe creative or divergent to add to the subject that you wouldn't have thought about.
Yeah, like an integration or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh. Phew. Yeah, dude, that's crazy. Thinking about it like that, having you have already built sort of your mastermind. You've got it going right now, like we were talking. If you did master class, but you could call it mastermind. You have your own. It's the Battles Budz.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking A. Tours
Yeah, so-
and catering, though.
Well, so
What does that imply?
well, like, I don't know how much it'll be allowed, by the OCM, but there's already, people who do it, like, the Room 420s. They will bring their bus full of and then they'll bring licensed bud tenders, all their own bud, everything provided by them, and they will cater it out, at your event, your bash, your birthday party, your wedding, whatever you're trying to do, and they will do that, and they'll provide a legal, safe, tested product with licensed bud tenders, and you get the whole nine. You get everything regulated and safe like it's supposed to be. As long as the OCM allowed that, I think that'd be a great party. Or
Well, yeah, as long as you've got somebody or a group or a company that's
and it says you can do events. It does say that in there.
Yeah.
So we're taking that as that. And until they say no, it's events.
yeah. You touched on tours. I was gonna ask how you were gonna eliminate some of the the transfer of whatever the hell everybody else has got going on at their house or whatnot.
Well, so
the windows going across. Could you do? You'd have to worry about light, but you couldn't do just a clear They don't. Do they make like a glass where you can like turn it into like a one-way?
Yeah, they sure do, but I'm sure it's a lot expensive. I would just probably have blackout curtains. It would, on the inside, it would be just enough. Keep it simple.
I mean, I've light polluted before and not had any problems.
I've never had no problems with light pollution. I don't understand it.
No
You have to
problems.
have more than when you learn the science, you have to have more than 15 minutes of continuous light every day for like 2 weeks or so before it would like interrupt a light cycle. As long as you don't have that,
It's a long time.
it is. So it's like you don't find it by then, but it's like I hear horror stories about people with just tiny pinholes, and I'm like,
I got a tent with fucking pinholes all over it.
like all mine, dude. And I'm like, I sometimes just leave my lights on and forget about them for a couple days, like and just walk in, when the lights are on. When the lights go off, I forgot I left a light that's not controlled by the timer on,
Right.
and I'm like, the next day I'm like, they just got an extra couple hours of some low grade incandescent lighting, but whatever.
Fucking A.
But I was gonna answer the question about mitigation for transference of things like pests and things. When I worked for a time, just because I wanted to get some experience on like the commercial level, I worked at a greenhouse, a massive. It was like it's the biggest indoor It's the biggest greenhouse in New York. They're Empire Farms. They do like cucumbers and tomatoes. I only worked on the cucumber side because that's what they had in season. But I wanted to, like, any crop is a crop, So I'm like, well, how do they do it in a greenhouse? Because at first I wanted to maybe do greenhouse. I've since said, if they're not going to force me to do greenhouse, I'm going to do indoor because that's what I like, and I think that's the highest quality stuff. But greenhouse, I wanted to like see how they did things commercially. And one of the things they made you do is you came in, you put on their clothes, which consisted of, long sleeve shirts, just cotton shirts, and then long sleeve long sweatpants.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put booties over your shoes, like plastic, like pink booties, whatever. They just spandex right over your shoes. And then you added gloves. You wore 2 pairs of gloves and then a hairnet. And then you walked through a station that had rotating floor bristles that would clean the bottom of your shoe as you stepped on it because it was automated by touch.
You see those pebbles upstairs? I need that shit for my driveway.
You see you walk in your house. You just no footprints, haha. And so it would do that, and then it had these things that it wouldn't open the turnstile to let you go into after that, like a subway turnstile. It wouldn't let you go until you put your hands into these weird metallic holes that were for your hands, and then it would squirt you at all different sides with a kind of like a watered down Germex. And then you would have to rub that on your hands over your gloves.
Right.
And and then the turnstile would unlock and you would go through the next area. And then you would walk just through warehouses, to get to the greenhouse. And then the greenhouse again, you would go through one of those little turnstile things with hand sanitizers and stuff. And then whenever you were inside the greenhouse, you could walk up and down it, but you had to walk in a diagonal pattern, like a offset pattern and crossing sides. And you would walk to the next little mat that was bristly and filled with an alcohol stuff that you just scrub your feet for a second and you keep walking. And everyone would do it like it was normal. They would just go zigzag all day and they would scrub and zigzag, and then after.
Does this weed make you see Jesus? Like, is this that good?
No, this wasn't weed. This was cucumbers and stuff.
That's crazy. Like, because it better be some weed doing all that. Like, that's
well,
crazy.
I mean, I'm not gonna go that extra, but it just gives me the ideas. All you could create was just Germex stations. Give people the proper PPE of like.
What's the diagonal for?
The
like
diagonal is what, so you're not crossing contaminating things or whatever. Okay. I don't know. There was some reason about it that like so you wouldn't carry.
Like rows were set up or something.
I think so. I would have to look more into it. I couldn't give you a straight answer, to be honest, right now. I just know that there was a specific reason, and I remember hearing something about it when I was learning in classes, but I don't know why. I'd have to look it up again.
Cucumbers come with bruises on them and stuff? Then after
dude,
they're
crazy.
Like,
and not only that, but they have like electric forklift fucking scissor jack things that go on train tracks, so you can go and you would have a finger ring with a scythe on the end of it, and you would put that in your on your hand, flipping it inside, and you would go claw, 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 and you would just cut only the good big fucking cucumbers. And they had incentives of how fast you picked. You got paid more. You got paid by the pound.
You just went like this, like we're.
There's
bigger
huge,
these fucking
huge,
cucumbers,
big,
man.
dude. There's sometimes like this fucking big, that fucking wide. Some of them look a little smaller. You can tell when they look mature. They look like, oh, that's the biggest that one's getting. Or
this ain't no Walmart cucumber.
no, I don't know. This was Empire Farms. I forget what the name of their product is, but that's the name of their farm. But you probably see their.
We used to have Empire Farm days
Sunset Hydro. No, never mind. That's a
hydro store.
That's a hydro store.
Rochester.
Yeah. Well,
Airport, Syracuse, Rochester, I think.
Is it? There's one in Syracuse too. Yeah, I think. Sorry.
That's where I used to get all my
Really cool.
because soil. That's what I used to.
They have good soil there. They're one of my favorite places for soil. They have like busted bag deals. So like $20, you can get these huge bags of Pro Mix that just kind of fell off and maybe got a little busted.
Gouge on the
and
side
they taped them up, so they're not gonna leak. But they'll be like, we don't want to sell them like that, so we'll just sell them to you for $20. I get my good soil there sometimes.
Huh.
I like to make my own soil, but like whenever you know.
So you drive from Watertown to Syracuse?
Just to get soil, yeah.
Jeez, dude, that's like a hike.
Yeah, it's like, what else are you gonna like? If you go anywhere else, it's just like Lowe's stores and maybe a couple different.
Well, yeah, like all Lowe's has
like
is
tractors.
The sunshine.
Yeah,
I use the sunshine. It's not terrible.
Yeah, you can use the sunshine.
But Pro Mix is where it's at.
My son lives in Syracuse.
But the good stores, like I want Roots. I like Roots Organics.
Yeah, Roots Organics is nice. I've had Buds.
I had their Lush.
But I feel like it was like a tainted bag or something. It has to be.
Try their Lush. Their Lush is like good almost in the entire grow with no nutrients. Like you can go like 8 weeks in a 3-gallon or something without having to feed it. And it's but it's not so much that I put in like even seeds or tiny clones, no burn.
You didn't have any bugs. No bugs.
No burn.
No, but I'm asking no bugs.
No bugs. I've never had no bugs in any of my Roots Organics products. None. I use their I use their nutrient line as well. Their liquid fertilizers for that. But I just got into Korean natural farming. That's what I'd want to use for my license and commercial purposes. But
say the name again.
Korean natural farming.
Okay. And that's like a liquid nutrient.
Yeah, it's liquid nutrient that you make from your own backyard stuff.
Like backyard compost.
Like
you not just have certain things growing, or is just
no. You can. It's whatever you find.
Of...
The principles of JDAM and KNF say that whatever is just growing the most around your area is the best thing to use, and if it has a long, deep taproot, then it's even better because it's drawing up all the nutrients around. Because you got to think about why certain weeds are growing in an area.
I was just going to ask, weeds qualify?
Weeds are the best thing. Weeds are the best thing.
Go figure.
They're so fun. Go
figure.
This is the loveliest thing my teacher ever told me, and we did a whole like semester on weeds. We did weeds of the Northeast. You'd go out and pick weeds. You'd tape them into your book, write about them. Their effects, everything, medicinals and everything. And so you got to learn like dandelion and
dandelion tea.
Dandelion is like one of the best things for Korean natural farming.
Yeah.
One of the best things. They're full of calcium and phosphorus.
What'd you say?
They're full of calcium and phosphorus. So like that's why they grow a lot. Whenever you have a lot of them growing in your yard, it means that your land is kind of deficient in calcium or phosphorus. So what they're doing, they have really big, long roots. So, and they're good. They're called, I might get this wrong. Can't remember the word. They basically pull nutrients up from deep that exist already down, but aren't, maybe towards the top layer of the soil, so things can grow like as they're supposed to. And nature just knows, hey, I'm missing a little calcium over here. It would be great if I grew some dandelion and it pulls up that calcium I got really deep down in there that's not doing nothing to nobody. I can pull it up to the surface and grow some great plants, bring in some more micro, organisms and fungi and stuff like that, and create a better ecosystem. And so it just does that.
I think it's good that you cut them down. Like, so when you mow, that probably makes it better because then the dandelions got to redo it.
Yeah, they get spreaded everywhere. You know, and then it composts itself.
I'm not picking another fucking dandelion out of my yard.
No, dude, go talk about it, babe.
You can literally use every single.
No, not just that. Talk about your thing.
All the Italians around here
Your
use.
no month, or sorry.
Oh, no mo'me.
No mo'me.
Oh yeah, no mo'me. But
that's
my
not
grass
just
was like this
for-
fucking tall. Like I
Yeah.
exaggerate. Like it wasn't.
Oh
that
no,
tall.
ours was.
Ours
was.
I
'Cause we
can't-
have wild mustard.
People
that
looking at
grows.
us crazy, and
I
I'm
don't
just
care.
like,
Well, because I do it for the pollinators a lot, because bees and moths, they actually hide and hibernate. And so they don't even start coming out until June. Like the
Okay.
last month of May and June. So they say not to really mow during May, because you could potentially kill many queens,
Okay.
and then they're all just going to eventually die.
and there's
You
like
can't find
10,000
them.
plants or something that would just go extinct
So
if
many.
we didn't have
Because they didn't
one
believe me.
species of bees die or something.
Yeah.
I heard that the honeybee. I could be wrong. I think it's the honeybee is like an uptick
Mm-hmm.
because of all the effort. It's pretty cool.
That's good.
I used to watch the X Files, and I remember the X Files. They had
Big X-Files fan.
they used the honeybees for to transfer that alien virus.
Oh,
Yeah, that variety, that cultivar virus.
no, the strain of ours.
Oh fuck! You should have just went. Zit!
Oh, you weren't joking?
No, I was wrong. I fucked it up.
Yeah, that you were. If you said strain, you would have been perfectly correct.
Yes, yeah,
strain
I
of virus. Virus and pathogens
Son
are
of a
strains.
bitch.
Yep.
I did it the opposite.
It's okay. We are all learning
It's
new
not
things.
intentional. That makes me feel better.
Dude, I still get it wrong every day when I'm teaching people, and I'm like, and they'll correct me. Please correct me. If I say it wrong, correct me.
Yeah.
If you hear you say, I'll correct you. That's the only way we can like teach each other, because then we'll stop getting looked at as like, you know, just stupid potheads.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
That's. I learned a little bit on everything that I've done. You know, like business wise. Honestly, this one's probably the most educational for me that I've had. But I've learned a little bit from everybody that I've had on here. So
Yeah, I was watching your. I didn't get to see your second episode, but I saw your first one. It was
The-
really. I liked it.
the third one that's coming out is one of my favorite ones so far. It dives into a little bit of a already legalized state and
Mhm.
like an established business and
Mhm.
what can be possible for
Right.
people here. That was like the most business education one I had, but I feel like I've really learned so far a lot educational wise, just like mindset wise
Right.
here tonight. And so I don't think I'm bored.
No,
I'm just
I can
taking
keep
it all
going.
in and drinking my wine.
You're good. You just. I'm like a loose cannon. You just gotta like guide me on where you want to learn,
That's what I
and
do. Like, I
I'm.
keep bringing them up.
Yeah.
So I just touched on the tours catering class and experiences. What was that? I feel like a light just turned off or something. But private events. You touched on it with the Buffalo company that would take their bus out. So
Mhm.
is that something you would want to do as far as like a vehicle to go out, sort of like that beer truck type of business model, or would you just go in and inside someone's already established place? Are they exclusive? Like, do you have to be outside if we were to do this?
No,
this
I
type
think it
of-
would be, not too unreasonable just to do a, like even a trailer that you pull, with a bunch of equipment, like just some chairs set up, some tables, a dab bar, some pieces, equipment, and like a tent, like we see at the kind of events they have now, and it's, I don't know, like doesn't need to be more than that. I did see some people who have like established RVs where the inside is just the walls are glass cases full of like products and different things they have, and you can sit down on a chair and they have music going and lights, and like it just seems like a little club, and they're like, hey, you want dabs? And
Right.
it's free.
Free.
They just got hired just to come there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Do you think that, is that something that is going to come soon, or do you think that we're looking at a very long time before New York State actually gets onto the regulation of doing something like that?
I say in the next year we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see, and maybe in like the next 6 months, we'll see at least established regulations on what a on-site consumption should allow. And then once they establish what the on-site consumption will be, I think all those will be under events and what you can and can't do for events. And then that's the word that they've put in there, events. So anything that we have, we'll have to put it under that caveat. We'll be like, oh, if this is a private event, it's still an event.
Right.
If this is a catering service, it's because it's catering for an event.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can't add to. You know, we can just tack it under something that already exists. So if they're gonna hammer out on-site consumption because so many people wants to do that, wants to add even like, but you know, we don't know how they're gonna do that, because let's say a restaurant wants to add just a special 420 menu, you know, and how would they establish that if they just wanted to have that, you know, and decided, you know, I have a liquor license, why can't I have a weed license?
I was just gonna say,
you know,
you can serve a variety
right.
of alcohols,
right?
Yeah.
You know, so like, what's the difference? It has to be, at least it's going to be turned into that. You know, weed's going to be available behind Walgreens, and like your cigarettes are.
Right.
You know, so there's going to be a way, but they're like, then you come into dosage. Like, you can't make that product fresh, or someone's going to have to come out with a product that is already dosed out, tested out, and you can just slap it into a meal already made, and then that is your dose. Because
Do you
anything
think
else
there'd
is
be
just going
problems
to be
with people, you know, like when the old school McDonald's lawsuit where the son of a bitch didn't know that the coffee was going to be scalding fucking hot.
I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but part of my business class's curriculum was watching the documentary about that woman. She got fucking, not just, like, she got like 5th degree burns. She's covered from here to like the bottom of her leg in unrecognizable scars. Her entire vagina is messed up beyond recognition. And it wasn't just that the coffee was she didn't know the coffee was hot. The coffee was like 200 or 300 degrees hotter than what was naturally supposed to be.
Can't keep their fucking ice
like
cream
there was
machine
already a temperature set by the law of what that coffee was supposed to be, and they proved that if it was the temperature that it was supposed to be, it wouldn't have caused burns that intense. And so she got so much flack from the media, because I'm sure, I mean, I don't want to say anything, but you know, if you have a big corporation, the best way to tackle that, you know, bad publicity is just to make a bunch of smear campaigns that say, oh, this woman's exaggerating. She's just after her money. She didn't get no money. She got just barely enough money for insurance combined, and for their little bit of money that they paid her for, I don't know what it's called, pain and suffering, to pay her medical bills. She got really nothing much else. And then she got a bunch of crap thrown at her, and, you know, people, you know, on the news saying, this woman, money grubber lady, you know, crying wolf about hot coffee. Like, you don't know it's supposed to be hot. Like,
well, okay.
And no, I'm not trying to make you, because that's what you now believe. Because
it steers me to a different way. You saying the
there's
facts
more to
behind
everything,
it.
man. I'm crazy. Crazy.
So what would be to stop the company then from saying, yeah, it's
you're fine.
Oh, it's a 20 milligram, but it's a fucking black star of death. Is that what you call it or whatever?
Yeah, they like dosed it wrong. You
like
know,
1 billion milligrams or something like that. Like, do you think that there'd be,
like I said, it would have to be already. They would already have to send each and every one of those products that they want to add to you on the menu already something that they're pulling off the shelf, basically, and they're just supplying to you sealed, tested, done, batched. You know, like, hey, we want to serve you an ice cream. Well, we already have all these ice creams that we sent and got tested, and then they came back, and then there they are. And, you know, like, so now we can give you that ice cream because it's already been tested and decided at 10 milligrams. But I'm not going to be able to, like, cook you spaghetti and then, like, infuse the sauce or whatever. Like, it would be nice. But, like, unless you could prepackage each and every one of those sauces
like
into
a little
10
salt packet,
into like maybe jars, like 10 milligram salsa jars.
Salt package?
And then you would use each one of those sauces, and you probably wouldn't even be able to open it. You'd just give them dry noodles, and you say, "Here's your sauce, sir. Add it." That would be 10 milligrams. It's going to be ridiculous unless they change their regulations. That's what they have currently, though, to my understanding. And
so it's like sort of bartender-ish.
Measured shot.
You could heavy hand it. Yeah.
Right. He could, but like, I don't know. It would be like, every time you go to the bar, before giving you a shot, he opened you up a little shooter, and he poured that shooter into a shot glass for you, and then slid it across. Or maybe he just gave you the shot glass and the shooter sealed, and you had to open it and pour it yourself. That's the comparison, and that's what they want, so that you don't have overdoses on a product that doesn't overdose.
Shut the fuck up. Don't talk to them. I'm gonna fucking get killed.
That's a conspiracy.
I don't know this guy. No, it's a sort of a different one for me because like I said in the beginning, I pride myself on trying to talk about these things and getting other people to talk about it, and I didn't need to get you to talk about it. You already wanted to talk about it, so I didn't have to ask just like leading questions really or anything.
Dude, if you want to get me on the stigma, like there's two. I mean, you should also hear it from her too, because we had our kid. Like, our kid sees, his mom smokes way before she met, me. Like, we smoke regularly. We keep, away from him. He's not around us smoking, but he sees we smoke. He sees I grow. Like, he knows what I go to school for. He knows I have I'm trying to have a legal business in this thing. And, like, he still went to school one day after, all this, and then comes back and says, y'all are bad people. Y'all, this is a drug, and you're addicted. And I'm like, what?
It's bad.
It's bad for you. You're gonna die. And I'm like, what?
My son is 12.
Yeah, so he's impressionable.
Right, that's what.
And it was Dare. Dare's still around. Dare came to the school.
And did a whole presentation. And
Dude, yeah, sometimes he says things, but he doesn't have a mic today. So this is crazy because my 12-year-old, I asked every day. I was like, hey, what did they teach you in Dare today?
Nothing.
I was like, okay. I was like waiting for it, because the same thing, like, it smells, because to touch back in the very beginning, you're doing it all day, almost every day, because it takes the edge off. That's me too,
we sweat it.
I don't do this to sell it, I just was going to an event and thought it would be great to get rid of some, so it's like I do this so I don't have to spend it.
That's the
so it's constantly smelling, all the time, and
I sweat it.
so I just ask. It's like, what did I teach you today? Nothing.
No, but this is a boy who, since he was pretty much born, I started using cannabis. Because it helps me with my bipolar.
Okay.
And so I was dabbling in it when I was younger when I had him, and then later on, so he grew up with me primarily. So he's seen me smoke all growing up.
Right.
Never had an issue with it, never thought it was bad, always knew what it was for, knew that it helped me so that I didn't have to take the medication that didn't make me feel good in the long run.
Okay.
So, and age appropriately, that's how I progressively would explain it, and he of course learned, even if I hadn't smoked. He's like, Mom, have you taken your medicine today?
Because she got in the real good habit of saying it's Mommy's medicine,
Right.
which is
So
a good
that
way
way
to
he can
make it
and
understand
normalize it.
Well, I think California would say it is. California would say. Why can't New York say it? I mean, I've got it for neuropathy in my hands. I have my medical card.
Right.
I have a medical card for bipolar, PTSD, anxiety, depression. So like, and it helps.
Oh, so New York does that's qualified in New York now with everything passing. I didn't know that they added more medical things to it. Okay, very good. Very good.
PTSD, all that.
Yeah, very good then. Okay. Well, I was just talking shit about New York hard right there. Sorry.
We got it at an event. Some lady
Kathy.
just, she travels around and does like on the spot medical cards.
Yeah, and
But
she
she's
works
a-
with veterans and her families. We saw her.
I had to do it online. Yeah.
Aw.
I didn't get to see nobody.
She was cool. She was caring. She asked like really good questions.
That's cool. That's cool. I didn't know that was a service that a doctor provided. Where's that?
She travels, I think. Like she's, I think she's trying to get her. Is it Nikki?
No.
No, someone else.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, I think they're, they just,
You could ask Sarah. Sarah would know.
yeah, but they, I think they're just, they probably get a tiny bit of, I think they maybe influence you a little bit to say, hey, if you ever want to try these products,
Right.
these products are really good for the ailments that you've described, and it may be products that are from big Med Pharma.
Right.
And it'd be like, oh, Crisco Labs has a product that is like 22% THC and is good for pain. And you'd be like, oh. And you'd be like, that may influence you to take maybe one of your first purchases from there. And it's like, it's sickening a little bit that our medical places, it has to be like that. But like, that is the only way for her to be able to even provide that service, because it costs money to like get your medical card. Yeah. She's filing everything, and then she has to, she went to school to be a doctor, and take the classes and stuff.
Right.
So
yeah. I had something just in my fucking head.
I'm sorry, I'm rambling.
We'll keep going. So
I do that if it's like too quiet. I just talk.
Yeah, but this boy called it my medicine, knew it was my medicine, and then just one day, all of a sudden, just came home like this and was like, "You're bad." And I'm like, "Whoa, let's back up for a second. You know what this is. We've talked about this. You know what this is for, how it's grown, how it's used, why it's used."
He's super impressionable though. So it took a couple days of conversations and just being like, hey, look at this. This is from a reputable source. This tells you the history of this, and this tells you where it came from. This tells you what's in it and how it affects your body, and and just like we went to some event and they were like even
and they even had like kids books
like children's books that just talks about. It's like a little story of like this little girl who's like, oh, what's that, mommy? And she's like, well, I don't know, like this is mommy's medicine or whatever. And it's like, takes it to these, well, I get it from the farmer. And he's like, well, let's go ask the farmer. And the farmer's like, what is this? He goes like, this is a plant that, uplifts my family and helps provide income or whatever. And he's like, I get it from, and he's like, and it goes down into like, it follows all these people that the plant touches and affects their lives and how it helps them in different ways and shows them in different professions. Some like very cannabis oriented, some just not even dealing with cannabis at all.
Right.
And it just shows that like everybody can use this plant and it's for everybody, and it's just shouldn't be like destigmatized. It should be destigmatized. It shouldn't be perceived like the what was it, Nancy Reagan,
what is it?
War on drugs.
Yeah, is that what?
Yeah,
it's
just say no.
Yeah, just say no. Oh, I saw. Fucking just do it. It's so bad though. Like I don't think I think it got to the point where they don't even spend a lot of time in school teaching anything about fucking like horticulture or anything.
No,
like nothing. So I had actually thought about this, and I'm talking with the guys from Root Nerds about it. Is I said I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. The 4-year-old's getting ready to go into kindergarten, so they do things in kindergarten like the paper towel method with some fucking seeds, some flowers. I'm going to try and get that Aurora Plus in the 2 classrooms they've got for kindergarten, so they can, instead of waiting 4 days for these fucking watermelon seeds to pop or whatever they are, they can throw them in there and they can pop a dozen of them at a time.
And then
maybe since it didn't take 4 days, then 2 days to get it in soil and watch it, maybe in 3 days they could go put it outside after the soil, and they could actually keep it going and get a watermelon at the school. You can send the damn thing home. I'll plant it and I'll eat the fucking watermelon. Oh, I won't eat it, but my kids will eat the watermelon. But it'd be nice if they did that at school. So then it would get everybody coming up. You don't even have to worry about the machine again after that. Like oh, this year the garden, we're gonna do it. Like people will learn how to get that done on their own because we always have. Like the machine's there, it's great, it works. But if you stay up on top of it, like, and with timetables, you could go in and you could get those out.
No offense to this machine, I was watching it, but as a horticulture student, I had to wonder. I was like, yeah, it does, put together a lot of different things, but like, Is there that much of a difference between just germinating a seed under a like a heating mat with a humidity dome and a
for
hygrometer?
Cannabis, it's not necessarily a big reduction in time, but it was originally designed, and I'm not
for peppers, right?
Correct. Yeah, I'm not selling the device or nothing.
No. I like the idea of it. I've never seen anything like it.
60 days, and it only takes like 10. Yes, and like you read it, I read it too. So
I watched the thing.
Yeah, like he was
very
at the home grow.
Brilliant.
Yeah, he was there. He showed up. It's it's awesome. I just think it's crazy because there are seeds that, you know, take a couple days longer than it would take a kid's attention span to like stay on and be like, oh, we're gonna keep checking this thing. Oh, it's gonna be the same tomorrow. It's not gonna fucking sprout. And then they don't want to do it because now they're reading fucking Tommy the Tank or whatever the hell it is.
Captain Underpants.
So I'm old. I don't know how old you are, but I'm thinking like Powdered Toast Man from.
I have no idea. How old are you?
38.
Okay, so like 9 years older than me.
Yeah, Ren and Stimpy's my shit.
That was my stepdad's favorite. I'm 32. Well, I'm turning 32.
Yeah.
Get ready to apply for AARP over here. So that touches on my community service aspect. What I'm trying to do with that is, again, get the community involved with wanting to really educate children and get children growing more. We have a public garden over by our police station that some nice lady took over and painted, and it's got a nice little garden going on. But, you know, having it in a place where all of the kids are every fucking day, and they can go out and they can do something like that, all from just sparking the interest of the kid. The teachers don't necessarily need to be the ones that are amped up about it. The kids need to be. So if kids are a little bit more amped up because things are going smooth with their short attention span, I think it'll really help with the community stigma. You know, you're going to see a lot more people growing up that are watching all these different types of plants, like wanting to research them themselves. Maybe not every kid's doing it, but they're not, you know, just being told like, oh, well, you're going to play football or you're going to go and you're going to be a smart kid. But if you want to go play outside, because kids don't play outside anymore. I don't know if you guys knew that. Kids don't
even want to eat fruits and vegetables anymore.
My kids eat fruits. They don't eat vegetables. I don't eat vegetables. I'm fucking picky. I hate them.
I hate fruits. I don't eat vegetables.
I can eat corn and peas. That's all I can eat.
Corn and carrots.
I can eat carrots. I can eat carrots.
Carrots
They gotta be good.
But they have to be soft carrots.
Soft carrots? I don't know. I could do baby carrots.
Oh, I got him to eat a kale salad.
Ugh, bro.
That's pretty good.
That was crazy.
It didn't taste bad. I hate salad.
Here, have quinoa in it?
No.
No.
Like,
it was the one from Sam's Club. It was pretty
would you ever consider doing classes that aren't cannabis related?
Oh yeah,
would,
I mean,
like,
I could
educate. Like,
I did before
youth?
this. Before this, I did microgreens. I did.
Okay.
This would be great for you. Like you can take any type of seed for like kale, broccoli, peas, radish, like wheatgrass. I've even done some types of corn. But you can do all these in less than 7 days, full growth harvest. From day 1 to day 7. Day 7 you cut it and eat it. And I did that for like months as a business model, taking that to people's doors, giving them like 2 ounces of each of those varieties I named for $20 a week. And each of those plants are packed with like 40 times the amount of nutrients they have as a full-grown plant. Like,
did you like to eat them?
I would taste them every once in a while just to make sure that they were on point. But I'm like, tastes like grass.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I would tell people all the time I don't eat them, but I grow them and I grow good. I didn't know I had a green thumb. I went all my life didn't think that farming was interesting at all. And then cannabis got me started, like most people, I guess, who do that, and then realize I had a green thumb. Plants don't die with me; they don't die. I've gotten insects, molds, and everything, and I had to destroy a plant or whatever. But like every seed pops for me. I don't have any like. Every time I pop a seed, it pops. Every time I clone, I have 100%.
You get fucking roots every time.
Every time.
King clone.
I don't even I do some weird shit. I put them in a rock wool with some like Walmart $5 cloning powder, stick them in a root cube, and then I put them in a humidity dome, fill it with like that much water, and then a couple days later I give it a little bit of nutrient water, and then a couple days later I give it some more regular water, and I do that for like 2 weeks, and then they're just hanging out, coming and tangling around each other, and I'm like, oh shit, I haven't checked on it in like 3 days.
Huh.
Yeah. I had to come invent it a little bit.
I gotta do fucking Clonex. I gotta fucking sit there and whittle it down on the edges to get a good surface.
Oh yeah, I mean I do all that, but I mean like I'm skipping steps.
Right.
Okay,
I'm
like,
sitting here thinking, it's like, you just
no, but I
dip it
do
in
that
like
really.
It's a cigarette nummy or something.
No, I just like get my 99-cent cheap trimmers and then take the edge of it, clean it off, dip, throw it in a root cube. It's because I've done so many in my classes that it's like we've ingrained like that's
second nature.
It's just like a process, and you do that process, and we've even tried the like Clonex and the gel and then the powder, and then they all have the same active ingredient, which is IBA, like ibutanic acid or something, and that is what gives that's what tells the root hormone to grow, and it's the same. Like, why you pay $30 for the gel, and then you can just use and then like my teacher Kelly says, you don't even need all that. Cannabis is one of the easiest plants to root. Just throw it in soil, and then make sure it stays moist. Use the proper watering techniques. Water thoroughly, and then like maybe small waterings around it to get it encouraged to grow out. I do it differently just because I'm trying to, but that's as easy as it needs to be for a home grower. You don't need to do nothing crazy.
You got it at Walmart?
Yeah, it's just on the grow sign. It just says plant cloner powder. It's like very nondescript, like no brand. Or Hormex, I think it's called. Hormex. Yeah.
Great.
It's like $6 for this jar of just pure powder. Kind of looks like very fine grain flour.
Okay.
And it's just, it will last. You just pour out a little bit in your cap, and then you toss half of that away because you didn't use it.
Huh.
I was like, I don't know. It's like, once you learn the principles of growing, everything becomes easier. So that's why I made sure to use my GI Bill to go to school for growing. Mm-hmm. And you learn crazy stuff like broccoli, kohlrabi, was it cabbage as well? I might be mixing it up, but there's like all those plants are the same plant.
Yeah, it's like some leaves.
There's just different Brussels sprouts. Like Kelly makes us go through a whole semester of what's a fruit and what's a vegetable. And like you thought it was bad at tomato. Right. Like it goes so bad. Everything you think is the opposite.
Isn't like a strawberry a vegetable because the seed's on the outside or something?
It's like anything that grows out of like a flower is a fruit, right? So a cucumber grows out of a flower, it's a fruit. Anything that grows off of that is a stem, a leaf, or a root is a vegetable. So when you eat lettuce or whenever you eat spinach, those are all leaves. It's a vegetable, I guess. It's a leaf. And then when you eat potatoes, it's the root. When you eat celery, that's a stem.
But you get like a squash and all that. Those are fruits.
Yeah, those are fruit.
See, there's a lot of fruits I don't like too. Then shit. I hate those ones. Yeah. Would you ever go to someone's like location if they wanted your expertise on a specific task? I've created SOPs for people, and like just because they don't know, maybe they're starting out and they got their license. They're like, "Hey, how do I do this?" And I have this level. Well, like I try to have this level of knowledge model, for even it seems like processing. You have like a mindset for that as well to be able to like not only
commercialize it.
My wife has something similar where it's like you can see what the problem is and like what needs to be done to accomplish it type thing.
Goal oriented, I guess you'd say. Yeah,
well, goal oriented, but you can identify as well. It's like could you come in here and do this for me? I'm obviously someone's reaching out to you because they don't think that they have the best ability to do it.
Right, and I have all those problems too. That's how I know how to like fix them. Like I'm dealing with I think it's a scale problem right now.
Well, the next time, like it's sort of you might not get that person back as business because they'd probably be sitting there watching you fucking do it. But again, it's you're teaching somebody something.
Right.
Like.
I want full transparency. Right. I want you to be able to ask me what I'm doing and know, and then check me on my knowledge. Fact check me. Make sure I'm giving the right things, and If I'm ever doing anything that you don't align with as a customer, I mean, you can't tailor yourself to everybody,
Right,
but I want to
absolutely.
be as transparent, and I want to be as organic, I want to be as regenerative, as possible. Like what I was talking about, Korean natural farming.
Yeah.
That's all that is. That the entire way of growing is about regenerativeness. It's
How
about
long does that stuff have to sit before you can use it? Like I'm thinking,
Like,
like,
you
can
can
I
do-
blend it up?
No,
And
listen, listen. Here's a simple formulation, and here you can do. It's like days. You get an equal parts measure, half 1-to-1 measure of brown sugar to any proliferating weed that you have lying around, like dandelion, or what I used was
Which one?
Have to be identical, or can you mix and match?
You can mix and match. You can
Alright.
if you would have to. It's called dynamic accumulators. That's the word I was looking for earlier.
Okay.
Like whenever they draw out those nutrients. So you find maybe a couple different plants that grow in your backyard that are dynamic accumulators. You can find that list by googling, and you can say, "Oh, nettle is a really good one, and dandelion is a good one," and like was a
Burdock.
burdock. That's what I was thinking about. Burdock is the one that grows everywhere, all over my,
Yeah, it's all my dog's fucking
Dude,
face.
burdock is so healthy. Look up the root, benefits of burdock root.
I
Burdock
thought you were
root
gonna
is
say
like,
eat the fucking burdock. I was like,
yeah,
what the fuck?
no,
dude?
those are annoying. They're perennials, so that means that the first year they grow really leafy and big, and like those elephant ear looking things, they look pretty. I love them. And then the next year they grow into these fairy trees that like to get stuck in our daughter's hair or on our dog's fur,
Yeah.
and so they're annoying in that way. But like they're so healthy. Like you can look at the just the benefits of burdock root is crazy, and you can make you take. Like I said, you can take that burdock root and cut it up into little like chunks, and then put it in a mason jar, weigh that out, and then put that same amount in brown sugar. Or if you don't have brown sugar, you can just do white sugar and molasses, and mix that up, and you let it sit for you let the brown sugar layer sit on top of that layer, and you let it sit for a couple days, and you'll start to notice that the brown sugar will do something to the plant material that draws out the moisture, and allows it to become into like this cool slushy brown liquid that is as strong as the synthetic nutrients that we get from the big companies. And you can make it in days, and it keeps for like it keeps forever almost,
You
like
mix
6
it
months.
together, or you gotta scrape
No,
the stuff off.
You take that and you just strain it through your cheesecloth after like
You ever
6-7
seen
days.
those little like big fucking, I'm gonna call it a bucket, but it's not, with a handle, and you hit the button and it'll drain out all the liquid that, like, because the solids will go up to the top, it'll drain all the liquid out of the bottom, so you can have the liquid and the solids will just fall, and you like call the button.
Oh, for like compost?
It's for more like for making tomato like sauce and paste, like you dry
Oh.
the liquid out and then you just got the solids left inside, but the same concept applies, where if you want just the liquid and you want to leave the sugar in, you could just hit the button and the sugar would just push the liquid out.
Wow. Huh. Put that on something. You'd have a lot of people try to buy it for home.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's already out there, but yeah, that seems like it would do.
Well, I mean,
instead
just
of having to
stab
skim it out or
yeah.
strain it through cheesecloth.
Right. It's a quick process, and I have like these little funnels that have come with like a little insert, which is like a little filter that's like of more finer nature, and you're only filtering out those big chunks and maybe like a little bit of soil particulate if you didn't wash it too well.
Right.
But and then you're only gonna use like 4 milliliters per gallon of that stuff, and you made like this much of it. You use something called rice water vinegar, and you can make like liquid calcium carbonate out of eggshells. You can
Yeah,
I mean,
got the eggshells upstairs. Yeah.
just you just finely cook them, finely grind them, and then mix it with apple cider vinegar or rice vinegar primarily, but you can use apple cider vinegar. But apparently if you use apple cider vinegar, you need it with the mother. It needs to stay
Okay.
organic
Yeah,
with the mother. And so use that. It helps a couple days after you see the fizzing done. Same thing, strain it out, and then you
You're kind of fermenting it.
it is, yeah.
Yeah.
You just fermented it, and it does. It's an acid, and it dissolves down. Because people think you can just put, egg crushed up eggshells, and they're like, oh, they're almost like 99% calcium. Like
Not broken down.
but it takes months, even in your compost. Even if you sprinkled very finely powderized, eggshells into your compost, you're waiting at like 6 months before it becomes soluble. It's a chemical at that point that can't be absorbed by plants. It needs to become, I think goes from, I'm trying to actually tell you the full name of it, but it goes from one type of calcium to another type of calcium, and that one becomes plant soluble or water soluble to allow plants to uptake it. And it's all about using the symbioticness of like nature. So you'll put brown rice out, side near a certain type of hardwood tree, and you'll leave it, at the base of a tree, and maybe even put it in a box kind of thing, so like critters don't get to it. And then you come back and you have like this fine layer of mold, and you use that mold culture to kickstart certain composting methods and your fermenting buckets, because that's what you're doing. You're fermenting these, because you can add that to JDAM, which what I alluded to is Master Cho came up with Korean natural farming, and his son came up with JDAM, which I don't remember the acronym, but it's a way of commercialized version of what his father came up with. And he has a recipe of like JLF, which is plant juice. I forget the acronym. JDAM liquid fertilizer. And so basically you add weeds to a bucket full of water, and you cover it, with a breathable material, and you let it sit for months. So sometimes people do these in giant, like, those blue barrels.
Right.
And after every couple of days, maybe they stir it with a big stick, and basically you're culturing an anaerobic bacteria in there, and that's going to help you create, break down all the nutrients that were in the plants that you threw into that water. And that those bacteria, when they grow, they're going to eat the plants, and when they eat, they'll excrete their what they took from them, and then that will create you a big nutrient dense water. And you can use like a couple little milliliters out of that, and you'll have giant fucking buckets of just industrial level fertilizer that you made from your backyard
For
bullshit.
2 little milliliters?
Huh?
2 milliliters for a giant bucket? Or you're just saying like you'll have this much fertilizer?
You'll have this much. You'll have one of those
Like
blue giant
concentrate.
barrel concentrated liquid fertilizer.
Shit.
And then you will only need a couple milliliters per gallon to feed your plant.
Full life cycle?
Huh?
Full life cycle?
Well, I mean, it's all different. They tell you there's a science to it as well. It's you got to learn what nutrients you're giving that plant. You gave that, you just like, oh, what is JLF high in, and when do you give it to your plants? Oh, you give it at this life stage, and then later you give it, more lactic acid bacteria. Then you give it more. They make another liquid fertilizer from fruits, fermented fruit juice. So you take your mangoes, your bananas, the peels, the apples, everything like that, all your high nutrient dense fresh fruits, and wastes, and you ferment those with equal parts brown sugar, and you create a super dense fertilizers that is really good for the flowering cycle. So you switch over from using liquid fermented plant juice, which is just like burdock roots or whatever, the stems, the leaves, or whatever you want to take from them, because you know that they're high in that type of nutrient. And then you move later on, and when you're in the fruiting life cycle, you move on to fermenting fruit. And so it's more symbiotic with how nature likes to do it, because if you think about a forest, like whenever a forest grows just fruits, it's not growing it for our consumption. So normally they're there to like help spread their seeds and pollinate and attract things. And then most of those fruits will rot and then fall, get eaten or whatever, and they will leave their materials, and then those rotting materials of the leftover fruits will fertilize back into the plant and feed the soil for other plants around that area and going back to that tree. Like, the best thing you can do is keep all your leaves in the fall. Keep them all. Mow them over them if you want the next year grass to grow even greener.
Right.
Mow them over a couple times, and
Get one of the mulchers.
it's very good for, high in nitrogen, and so it'll turn into a really good fertilizer for you. That's
My dogs dig holes in my yard.
your dogs. They do for me too. I can't stop them.
My
They break
dog-
your ankles.
God, it's oh, dude, it's crazy. Like they're like they fit bricks perfectly. It's weird. Really? Yeah, like
That's nice.
they're like that, and just pop a brick in there, put some dirt on it, you wouldn't even tell. But so the only reason, what else is super high? Tell me what it's high in. Dog shit. What's it high in? Because my grass burns wherever the dog shit is. But my grass is turned
You're
around.
not supposed to use
I'm not
dog
just-
fecal
I'm
matter.
not-
I know, but I'm just
Just say, I
saying.
ain't spreading.
I thought about it because like my dog shit all over my yard. Can I throw that in my compost?
Mm-mm.
The answer is no.
No.
You can let them pee on it. That's good for your compost.
You can use
and human urine.
dog shit, I guess, in like flowers.
Yeah.
Just like just oh,
It's
that
flowers
looks
because
pretty.
you don't want
That's
to. You're not
pretty.
gonna.
You
You're not
can't
gonna eat
consume
them.
it.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I'm so happy my yard's turned around. I don't have many leaves. Well, the windstorm took a lot of leaves down, but
How'd that tornado?
I didn't even get a tornado, dude.
Oh, okay.
It was like a big storm ripping through. I had to pull that's why I was all showered and everything. I was all good. Like I had to pull a branch off the shed. That's about all that happened. So it wasn't even bad. But the one touchdown in Buffalo, and there were sounding alarms here. Everyone was down in the basement. Everyone was down in their basements around town. I'm surprised they didn't.
I'm from Texas, so hurricanes and stuff are our norms.
Yeah, see, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I
I've
don't know.
literally seen a tornado within.
We don't even have
eyeshot.
like basements and shit.
And they were like, "Oh, just stay inside." Okay.
Fuck that.
Everything for us is like on stilts, like off the ground, so like because it'll flood
Yeah.
where I'm from. So you'll have like your house balanced like 20, 30 feet in the air.
Yeah.
And
It's like Florida.
yeah, a hurricane be ripping through. You'd be like, well, can't go to the store. I gotta swim.
So you're only up here because Fort Drum?
Yeah, I decided to stay here after I got out. So I've been up here since 2019, and then once I was out, and then I'm like I bought a house here, and then I got interested in cannabis. The cannabis program was in its infancy. Texas doesn't really have one, so I'd have no really reason to go back.
Probably
and
not going either.
I mean, not for a while, but they do their own thing.
Yeah.
They have HHC and
Got a brother in Tennessee,
Delta
they
8
can't
and
do
stuff, Delta 10 or whatever. But I mean, they're doing their thing, and I'm like, maybe the plan will be one day to move to another state or whatever. I'm not closed-minded, but I just want to operate a small like mom and pop feel thing. Like I want you to be able to come like Sarah Stenoff. She had one of the first you pick farms for cannabis, where you can come and pick your plant.
Where's that?
And she's Fulton.
Okay, I know Fulton is.
Yeah, so it's she's a veteran, and she's had one of the longest licenses. She's been doing CBD, and before that hemp, and she got the first licenses for grow. She's been a conditional cultivator, and she has little tiny homes for veterans and stuff.
There was U-Picks either. It's like I'm behind the 8 ball thinking about all this stuff.
But yeah, she tried it. She's done it, and I don't know what her success was, but she had to do a lot of lobbying and talking to her senators and Congress people to get it going. But she was able to do something of the sort, I believe. And
does she have just like rows that are in different, like how?
I don't know. I never really asked her. She was just proud of that. She was able to do that for a season, I think. And she'd want to, she said, I set the grounds for farmers to be able to do that now. So that you can do that now, apparently, because she set precedent. So, that means I can if I do an outdoor grow, which I put on my application.
10,000 square feet canopy space or whatever.
Right. But I decided to ask for all the full 5,000 of indoor space, and I don't want none of the outdoor space. Just
5,000
because
square feet's
it's a lot. I'm not going to use it all. I'm not going to use it all.
600 square feet's the spot. Like,
right.
You know
Well,
yeah,
and no, but like the other one, it's like 2,500 square feet.
Oh, okay, that's good.
And then the bottom is like,
that's like a
for
house,
the retail,
like a
is
two-story
like 12.
house put fucking
dude,
flat. It's a huge.
It's massive.
Even
Dude,
with
so
fucking
cool.
like a foot.
He has a
between them.
podcast as well, dude. I should put you on with him.
Dude, I
he was
wanna
supposed
talk
to have
to
me on, but I
everybody.
haven't talked to him yet. And but he doesn't do this. He does He interviews people and gets their life story.
Okay.
And he's a barber. So it
shit.
kind of, goes with his thing. And he does his back area of his barber shop as a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And but he has this entire building next to it that he doesn't even use. So that's why he decided, he was like, he wanted to do cannabis at one point, but he saw how much it went into it.
Right.
And he's like, I can't do all that. So he's like, he's gonna support me as much as he can. And but yeah, I throw his podcast out there. I don't know.
It's
He's nice.
Say it again so he can look it up.
I don't know the name. I'm sorry. I'll have to get that to you.
I got your numbers and
Yeah.
stuff. So I really don't care. I've been growing since I was probably 16, but I haven't really been proficient, and I'm not proficient now, but it's like a trial and error thing, and the amount of stuff that you have talked to me about, it sort of adds to the whole thing I say about bringing kids into the mindset that growing their own stuff is good, and teaching them at a young age, because I wouldn't have had to struggle from 16 to like 33.
Yeah, dude, I was like peeing on plants. I was like peeing on plants at like 16. I was like, oh, this is good. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, So
stringy buds, like. I didn't grow anything except for cannabis like those times. I wasn't growing vegetables or nothing like that. I was trying to be the fucking dude,
Right.
But there was stringy bud. Like I didn't know anything. I wasn't feeding any nutrients
And Jeffrey Hoffman talks about this. We had him come on as a informational speaker for one of our cannabis classes, and Kelly had him on because she likes his Ask Me Anything things on LinkedIn. I don't know if you've seen him.
Mm-mm.
Jeffrey Hoffman, he's a lawyer.
I'll look him up on LinkedIn.
Yeah, he's very outspoken he's a cannabis guy. And
is he on Instagram as well, like cannabis lawyer or something?
I don't know, but he probably would go by that. I don't know.
Go to my Instagram and type that in while we're talking, please.
But I know he does the
Cannabis lawyer.
Jeffrey Hoffman AMA, Ask Me Anything, and he does all the legalization questions. And he had a really good story about it's all of our story. It's like he's like, oh, when I was in college or whatever, and I wanted to smoke, but I didn't really have money, so I would hustle up the money, and finally I'd buy a bigger quantity, and then I'd sell it to all my friends for really cheap, $5-10. I'd make my money back and then some to be able to buy the new batch and then smoke all I needed. And I wouldn't make enough to do anything crazy, but that was legacy. And so that's how he opened up his talk with us as an educational seminar in our school. And I was like, fuck it, this is where I needed to be, because they're bringing in the right things. Like he goes, that's the stigma of it. You can't just say and tout it as this big medical, hallelujah plant that cures everything, without just, understanding that the reason why we do it is because we want to get high. And
absolutely.
and
I could take
we sell it.
Tylenol. God, yeah. I mean,
Right.
With yours,
Fuck
if
up my
it
liver
helps you
and all that.
with like a mental thing, that's a little bit different. You didn't like the medication, but like for me, I could take Tylenol for sure.
don't like
you know what I'm
medicine.
saying?
We don't
we
like
could all
medicine.
take some sort of
Right.
medication to
Right.
put the bandage on our ailments. Just
But
like cannabis,
it's
realistically.
yeah, I prefer to use
But I don't
cannabis.
have I have
hate
munchies
medicine.
as a side effect versus some not so good other side effects on pharmaceuticals.
Do you have like a like all cinnamon? Like
So it's rough, because if I eat cinnamon, then it won't kill me. I might get an itchy throat. If I get cinnamon on me, I'll get really itchy. I'll get hives. But when I inhale it, like when it's in a smoke form,
well, it's internal, yeah.
it's not only that,
It's
but whenever you
instantaneous.
extinguish it, that's when it actually becomes a real allergenic.
Yeah,
Okay.
it
That's
becomes
what it says.
oxygenated.
Right, once it becomes oxygenated. So that I feel like is of course why it affects me the most in that form. So it won't ever kill me. It just makes it just not a fun time.
Do you like snickerdoodles have cinnamon in them?
I honestly try to. I don't eat a lot of, so like.
Oh,
He'll
okay.
get
I
a lot
thought you
of
were just
stuff
gonna
with
say I
cinnamon in
don't
it.
like snickerdoodles. Like,
No,
you gotta
no.
go. You gotta go.
No.
She can even have a cinnamon bun, you know, like she'll like that really looks really good. I shouldn't have that. I'm like, do you want just a tiny bite? And she's like, yeah, give me a tiny bite.
Well, I've never experienced an actual reaction like adversely. Yeah, I've coughed, but it's because I've took a huge hit. You know what I mean? Like I've never had a consistent like, oh my god, every time I smoke this one, I have a problem. So it's almost like a double-edged sword for you at the same time. Like yeah, it's you can't say that it's a wonderful miracle plant at the same time because you still do have to do some research because you like might be allergic to it. You know, it's not the same as eating it. You know, it's not the same as just having it on your skin. I mean, it'll do something sort of like you might just thought it was like an eczema flare up or like a touched an oak plant that was bad or something, you know.
There's something I saw whenever I was a little kid that stuck with me all throughout my life, and it was someone saying that too much of anything can be a bad thing. Yeah. You know, and I was like, and I've just, maybe I was just really young and impressionable, but it stuck with me all throughout my life. Of like, what do we use a lot of that like we just take for granted? Like, you know, what does a medicine do? What is, you know, like whenever you take it for years, not only that, but what is it doing to your body? Why is your body doing the thing? And then what are you doing to your body while taking the medicine? And the thought of mine comes to me is like, you have a headache, but why do you have a headache? You have a headache because something's going on in your body, and so your body's saying, hey, pay attention to me. Where pain goes, attention should go. And so it says, look at this, there's something wrong, you need to fix it. So is the fix a Tylenol? And so what does a Tylenol do? Well, Tylenol is a pain reliever. Oh, yeah. So it's going to hide your pain. So instead of fixing the problem, instead hides the pain. You've basically put a crappy piece of duct tape over a leaky roof. You haven't fixed the roof, though. It's still leaking. And so the answer for me from a young age was too much of anything is a bad thing. And so I don't know how I took that to that, but like it stuck with me and made sense that like instead you should fix the problem. And the problem is dehydration and lack of a nutrient, like a plant. Plants, whenever they're lacking in a nutrient, they show deficiencies. We are the same. You know, our deficiencies are louder. Plants are probably screaming if we could hear their language whenever they're in pain from lack of copper or lack of nitrogen or lack of phosphorus or lack of magnesium, you know. And, you know, they're showing that by having bruises and lesions and, you know, dead parts and, you know, leaves and everything. You know, so, like, it's the same as us. It's like, what do you do whenever you don't have the right things in your body? So it's like, instead of fixing it with a pain reliever, it seems like antithetical to everything to try to fix it with a pain reliever. You should feel pain. Pain is a good thing, you know?
I mean, well, yeah.
And too much of it, I mean, once you know while it is.
It just because it made you forget that you were hungry, and then now it's a problem, you know?
Right. You can use it as an appetite suppressant.
Doesn't work for me. It makes me want to eat more.
I'm hit or miss on it. Sometimes
it's
like I can just go like, all right, that was what I needed to go to bed. But sometimes like, oh my god, I wish I had a fucking pizza right now.
Right. I'm hit or miss. Sometimes if I'm smoking at like an all day event, you know, then I won't even want to eat because it'll just be like,
same way. My
stomach is already full of smoke. It's just also maybe it does that suppressant, but I mean like everything does that. And so like when I was taking ADHD medications, I lost so much weight. I was a wannabe bodybuilder from the military. I was in the gym 2 or 3 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Don't do that anymore?
I don't have time, and that's an excuse, but it is the one I got. I wish I could get it in there more, but I used to do. That's
cool though.
And what I would do to force myself to go is I trained people. So I one thing the Army taught me to do, and I've learned my entire body or my entire personality is the teacher.
Well, you use the hive. You know, the hive mentality. The more people you teach and to think and be able to handle themselves.
Right.
You know, teachers shouldn't be teaching the same people all the time anyway.
Yeah.
So you know, it implies that you're setting them up. So you know, I'd be. All of your lines come back and check out. You're not just making up stories, dude. Like for real. Like, I agree with you. I think that's something that you are probably awesome at. That's why I keep thinking of you being able to like go help people in just like home grow spaces. Now that it's completely legal for like 6 or 12 plants or what have you.
12 per household.
For home, yeah. So,
and then it's confusing here. I can clarify with something that I had to tell someone the other day because they were asking. It's their version. The OCM doesn't say, but you have to go deeper into in the murder to figure it out. But they say immature and mature plants. To us as growers, naturally, your first thing is to think anything that doesn't have buds on it is immature. No.
Are they talking clones as
They're
well?
talking like clones, like seedlings.
So it
Anything
doesn't have roots.
like-
as soon as it has a tap, it's done?
No, well, as soon as it has like more than a couple sets of leaves, I think it's like 3 or 4 sets of leaves. As soon as it has more than that, like 2 or 3 nodes, I think anything more than 2 or 3 nodes.
I think I saw that graphic.
Yeah.
Where they, like, lay it out.
And then those are mature plants after that. I'm like, what? I would have just had a bunch of like giant ass like
I mean,
like no like on a 18-hour light schedule monsters, and then while my other ones were budding, and then as soon as they were chopping, they would go right in, and that's what I would do.
tie them all fucking down and just make multiple carpets.
Yeah.
Huh.
And then I would probably have some seeds, being started, because then you don't say anything about seeds. When does a seed become an immature plant?
I like to collect seeds.
I got so many.
It's
These
just,
people give them out. They're like,
Yeah.
try my seeds.
It's
I got your seeds.
We need to get
Your
yeah,
seeds
no,
are
I
good.
give you
together
my
and do,
seeds.
like, a
I've
seed
gotten like
swap.
more since then, just
Yeah.
from like talking to people at that event. A couple of the judges shipped me fucking seeds. There's this guy.
That's what I said. That's the only reason why I came over and talked to you so much, was because my brother went to walk around. He's a photographer, and he was like, I saw this guy. He had a cool setup, and he gave me some seeds. He said you should come talk to him. And
Dude.
I was like, okay.
That's like that's from a buddy, like I was saying, around the corner over here. He doesn't want to be named, but he's like a mad scientist genius like you. That's what I'm going to start calling you, is a genius. And he doesn't want them sold, and I told him I'm not going to sell them. I'm just going to hand them out. I have no stake in it. Why would I sell this batch? What if people wanted them? I can't make them again. Right
I just
now,
hunt
anyway.
things because then, like,
That's all it's about. I'll take someone says, "Hey, I got this for you. I made it myself. I want you to test it." Those are what I like. I like to take the shit that's like ugly when you first get it, because then maybe you can start shipping them back to the person who gave them to you, and they can do the same thing, and then you end up with something down the line that's actually good.
not only that, but like, there's so many things that you can do to a plant, and like, what if you gave it its ideal climate? Every plant grows in different parts of the world. You have Hindu Kush, you have Afghanistan Kush, you have Thai and Mexican, and and every bit of outdoor climate, they're not all the same. They all grow different buds, and they are inclined to grow in those climates because
Do you have any different like climate, like seeds from different climates?
Yeah, I mean, you
don't
can
think
just
I have
like
too many
the
different
normal ones that you hear about, like Colombian gold. That's gonna grow in a more Mexican type of environment. The Colombian environment. It's gonna, so you can emulate that and just look up, hey, what's the normal type of environment for this area that's
Right.
cultivated at, and try to get it as close to that as possible.
Do you use CO2 at all?
I don't really, but I will say I do push my temperatures all the way up to like 82, because I think anything past 82 won't do anything.
Ooh, that's warm.
No, it helps. It's good for transpiration,
I get worried.
and not only that, but it's good for mold prevention. If you have
Right, it does
it-
kill mold.
if you have a warmer environment, you have less likely to get molds or funguses.
How high have you brought it up just to like kill something?
Oh,
And how long did you leave it there?
like 88
Okay.
for like a day or two until my
Day or two,
humidity went down to like
Okay.
40%. And you could look up a VPD chart and find out what would be the best VPD to kill a certain, fungus
I was
or
using. I
powder
have them
mildew.
out there in the fucking debacle of a basement. Some UV bars that I was using. I had
Yeah,
them,
I don't
like,
really-
ever so often. I don't
I've
think
heard
they-
about them, but I don't
think they
really-
did anything.
You know what you can use? Air purifiers, though. Those
Okay.
HEPA air filter those little air purifiers.
Yeah.
You got to get a really good one. Like, usually they look hexagonal, and they sit somewhere, and they probably cost more than you think they should. They look like a little dehumidifier, but they come with like a replaceable filter that's like commercial, and it pulls in everything, and it's supposed to specifically have certain that filter pores to grab the certain size that the bacteria and molds are, and so it just cleans your air. I was thinking about getting one, to be honest,
I've got
because I get a really damp
something like
environment.
Govee, Govee. It's a brand. I dabbled in mycology for a minute, so I used them for their temperature sensors
Uh-huh.
and humidity sensors.
Oh,
but
yeah,
they
I know.
have-
Yeah, hygrometers. They're hygrometer brand. I know what you're talking
but
about.
they have a air purifier
Really?
that has a HEPA, but it's small, it's circular, and it just makes me feel like it doesn't do anything.
Maybe you just need
Puts
a
out
bigger
some
one.
nice air. It's like a nice fan. Sure,
Right,
if you're
right.
standing over it,
And
it's a nice
honestly,
fan.
if you look up the actual specifications for those things, after about 40 hours, they're done.
Yeah.
You got to replace the whole fucking inside of it. Like, I may be exaggerating a little bit, but it's only. It's not as long as you think. You have to keep them, and they're only good for a certain square footage, and usually that's not even really square footage. That it's really termed by cubic footage because your heights of your, you know.
Yeah. So I don't have luck with small ones, at least in my brain. So don't waste your money
No.
if you were thinking about it. Get a big one.
No. Yeah. I was looking at them on Temu. Temu has some good prices for
Dude, I
crazy
get
things.
worried about Temu.
Yeah, because you got to look exactly the words of the details of everything what they're saying. I almost spent like $300 on a generator.
Like a figurine.
No, on a generator, on like a big old like power goes out generator. Because I was like, if my generator goes out, my entire basement will flood with water because my sump pump has to work like 24/7. I got to keep it on a battery or something. And then I'm thinking long term, I need a generator maybe. And so I see on Temu like $300-400 for it says generator something tank da, and then it's telling how many gallons and all this stuff, and then I'm like almost about to like think about putting my cart for later, and I look at the details and it's only selling just the gas tank. Just the gas tank. You gotta hook it up to a generator still. So you gotta just look really what you're getting. And they're kinda, I don't think they're, I mean they probably are trying to be a little subterfuge, but
You should get your free ratchet set. You seen those
Bro,
commercials?
on my birthday, I
have
spent
this
like
free ratchet set.
$300 for some stuff.
For $1, we'll send you this ratchet set.
Yeah.
I think I spent
No,
like
their stuff is
60
legit.
bucks.
Like, I got a drone from them. I got a, what else did I get?
I got some crazy cheap.
I got one of those.
Vortex on.
I got one of those punching things that like you can box to
Oh,
like
close
the
to the wall.
to the beat. Bum, bum, bum.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's so cool.
I don't know. Sorry,
I don't know.
but yeah, it's like $18. Like what?
Sam, don't be going to Temu on my computer.
No, that's like if you ask people,
Dude,
small
wait.
businesses,
He's gonna hack
small
my shit
business
up.
will say Amazon and Temu are like the things to get all your kind of stuff. Like if you need like 30 hygrometer little things for your jars to make sure they're at the right humidity, like you probably get like 20, 30 of them for like $5.
My brother-in-law uses it all the time.
Yeah.
He loves it. He just says the shit.
I get packaging.
I bet you it's fine. I bet you
No.
it's fine.
She was sketched out about it. I got her to get a couple things, you know.
I
whatever.
mean, they were mediocre quality, but they were okay enough where I'm not upset because I only spent like $40 on my total order. So
For
you
like-
can't be mad.
For like $8, I got like a solar panel battery pack that holds like
Okay.
10,000 milliamps and it can charge a phone and shit. And it has a flashlight on it. I'm like, what? Just stick it in your windowsill and charge my phone. I don't know.
Take my money.
Yeah, that's stupid money stuff. All right, sorry to derail the conversation.
No. That's
But I think it's
fine,
important for small businesses. You can get really good products from those places.
So you need to put it on the pamphlet where you're going.
More on what?
Where you're going to be going.
Well, I mean, I have it right now for my application as Gloversville, but I
Right.
didn't put that on there just because I don't know if like in the first year or so will we be, moving closer to home, or we would have to sell our house. It's a 2.5 hour drive for us from Watertown to Gloversville.
The same thing. I was like, what the fuck? This guy's dude talking about Gloversville is like fucking Albany. Like, what the hell
We've
is going
talked about
on here?
moving.
Yeah,
We've already
it's not
talked
that-
it
And then I
through,
figured I was
but-
like, okay, he must be thinking about relocation if he has to.
Well, I have to keep it in mind, but the dude has such a great little property. It's has the retail space that's perfect. The upstairs walk through is just prime for like that small like outfit to grow. It wouldn't take a lot to renovate renovate the place. Him as a landlord was really cool with it being cannabis. Wants it to be cannabis. Wants to see it turn
Yeah.
into that kind of place because he didn't really have the opportunity to do it. And so when you have that full support of a landlord, it's kind of hard to find as well. And because if you're ever operating illegally, they've already put out in the law that they can
Right.
just take the whole building.
Oh, the whole building.
They can just take the whole building. Yeah. They've I don't know if they since changed it or whatever, but I know at one point they were saying when they were trying to crack down on all the legal shops, they were, and legal shops were just being like, "Oh, well, we don't own it. The landlord owns it." And then it'd just be some, guy or whatever. They were like, and he would try to be not attached, be like, "Oh, I just rent to them. They do whatever
Right.
they do," and not so that they wouldn't be able to take the property because it's not the businesses. And they said, no, if you're complicit and you're letting a business, do that under your property ownership, then, and we'll warn you, we'll give you like one of those OCM notices.
Mm-hmm.
And then after like 30, 60 days, they can just come in and take the property full and clear. Like they own it now.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Is there I know it says in there that you have to operate a retail space within a certain distance of the actual grow facility.
Yeah, like
there
25
a-
or 50 miles or something like that.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
it's shit.
Yeah,
I was
it's
thinking like
really
it's got to
shit.
be on the same goddamn property.
No, it's 25, 50 feet, and it's the
Miles.
Feet?
sorry, 50.
Oh, okay.
Sorry,
Miles.
miles.
Oh, okay. I was
25
like, wait a minute,
to
that's a big
50
difference.
miles, and it depends on the population size. So they are basically tailoring it more to the New York City folk that are, if they're a highly densely
Right.
populated place, maybe they would need to go a little farther distance to get their farmland property.
Is there a limit on how big it has to be?
For what? What do you mean?
So, like, I'm thinking a roadside stand. If you had a business license
People
to
are doing
essentially
it.
sell hot
People are doing it.
dogs
People
on
are
the side
doing
of
it.
the road,
People are doing it right now.
and
That's-
that's where that's your
That's my
storefront.
yes, my storefront. They can just renovate a shed. That's it. Everything's
I fucking
electrical. Like all those places,
Fucking
like
knew it.
yeah, like the Indian
They don't-
reservation
well, they
people.
don't say that out.
No,
like,
they
flat
don't
out.
say that out loud. But like all the farmers, the people who are very, I've been farming hemp since 2018
Yeah.
when the first law came out. I've been doing this forever since the hemp bill, and they know this. They're like, we've lobbied, we've talked to the senators, we've piqued their brains on what the law actually means. Shout out to my lawyer, Matthew Leonardo, of him and Straub. He offered his services to me way back. I don't know if he still does it, but I found him as a lawyer, and he said he would support me in getting my license through everything, like helping with application processing, talking to. Helped me set up like meetings with my senators and getting in touch with different organizations, and didn't charge me anything, but just tacked up a bill and said, in the one day when you do get licensed, well, this will be your retainer bill, and then we'll just start paying on it once you're licensed. No big deal. It's your pace. Like as long as I want your long-term business, and like to this day I haven't paid him a dime, but like he still is, because I don't have a license, and he's
Right.
still like. If I wanted a weekly call, it would cost me $500. It would cost me his hourly wage, of course, but he would give me that time every time I needed it, and that has helped so much to stay on top of the, constantly changing regulations. And he is in talks directly with like the OCM and helping create these regulations, and fighting for people like us who want to be who come from legacy or come from like doing this for a while, who want to get into the legal space,
Right.
and want to do everything the right way. He is able to bridge that gap and able to. What happened?
That stopped recording. This camera right here. Just so you know. I don't know what it happened.
000.
Yeah.